Hello, my name is Trenton Vance. I am in Psych 4353, Physiological Psychology, and this is my video of the dissection of the sheep's brain. Now I'm going to turn the camera around so that you may see the dissection. Get y'all all situated right there. Let me zoom in. Okay. Put my gloves on and open up the packet. Okay, let's open it up. Okay, so now we can see that when we have this little outer coating of the brain here that will need to be cut off. So let me get a pair of scissors and we'll cut this off. Need to be careful not to do any damage to the actual brain. Okay, but anyway, as we're cutting this off, we can see right here that we have uncovered the cerebrum, which the cerebrum is arguably the most noticeable portion of the brain, as it is one of the biggest portions of the brain. So And also the cerebrum is responsible for complex functions, such as learning, memory, and conscious thought as well. So let me try to cut off the rest of this. So right here, we have cut off the outer membrane of the brain, and we have some function, we have some structures that are also connected to this outer membrane. So here we have some optic nerves here, and those are obviously responsible for regulating visual information from the brain to the eyes and also back and forth. So we have the cerebrum, which is responsible for higher functions, such as learning, memory, conscious thought, et cetera. And then back here, we have the cerebellum, which is also I would say the second most noticeable and recognizable portions of the brain right here. And the cerebellum is responsible for maintaining balance, posture, and fine motor skills. So, and also we have back here, so the cerebrum and its respective lobes, the temporal, or let's start at the front. We'll go the frontal lobes right here, obviously they're the front. They're responsible for movement control, problem solving, and behavior. Then we'll have our parietal lobes, which will be off to the side right here, like so. Then we'll have our temporal lobes, which are down here. And those lobes, the temporal lobe respectively is responsible for hearing, memory, and various like homeostasis regulations. And then the parietal lobe is responsible for sensory info and body awareness. And then we'll move on to the back of the brain, back here, where we have our occipital lobes. That's the rearmost portion of the cerebrum. And the occipital lobes are responsible for visual processing. So that's the cerebrum and its respective parts. Now, here we can also see the brain stem and the midbrain, parts of the midbrain from the outer portion of the brain. And here we have the spinal cord. Part of the spinal cord and the brainstem accidentally got cut off when removing the outer membrane. So I'm sorry about that. It was my mistake. But now, since we have parts of the brainstem and the spinal cord visible, the spinal cord is obviously what connects the brain to the rest of the body. So the spinal cord will regulate sensory signals that will come from the brain to the body and to the body from the brain, respectively. So here, let's go ahead and cut into the brain. So I'm going to cut halfway down the brain, like so, trying to cut everything in half as evenly as possible to try to make everything even and maintain as much visibility as we can. Okay, so now here we see that now we can see the inside of the brain. So basically here, as we're looking at the brain, here we have, let me grab one of my pointers here. Let me grab the straight one. Here we have the corpus callosum running down the middle right here, and right above it we can see some ventricles in the brain that hold cerebrospinal fluid and stuff like that. And the corpus callosum is responsible for communication between the two hemispheres. Now, we've cut the two hemispheres in half, but when they're connected, the corpus callosum is a communication highway between the two hemispheres. So also, now if we move down towards the back of the brain, towards the brainstem, we can see the spinal cord right here, but we can also see parts of the medulla, or the medulla oblongata would be like the official technical term for that. We have the medulla oblongata, and that is obviously responsible for breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure. So various involuntary homeostatic functions of the body. And then the last part of the brain stem is the pons, which is here. The pons is right there. And the pons is responsible for connecting the cerebrum and the cerebellum. And it's also involved in various involuntary actions, such as sleeping, breathing, and facial sensations. So that's that. And then we have, obviously, when anybody looks at a brain, they notice obviously the outside, right? The outside of the brain is very bumpy, has various ridges on it, dips and valleys within the brain. And those are called the gyrus and the sulcus. So basically what that does is that simply increases the surface area of the brain, allowing for more neurons. Because when there are more neurons, then that makes it available for more signals and more sensations and more senses to be experienced and relayed from the brain to the rest of the body, right? So all of the gyrus and the sulcus is responsible for allowing the brain to have so many neurons so that our body can experience all the senses that it can experience, all of the thoughts and all of the amazing signals that are to be sent from the brain to the body. So that's that. And then we have right in the middle of the brain here, we have the inferior and the superior colliculi. And those are respectively responsible for eye movements and auditory information. So, and then also in the middle of the brain here, you can probably see it more clearly in this piece, right in the middle, it'll be below the corpus callosum. So it'll be more in this general area. We have the pineal gland. And what that does is it is responsible for the production of melatonin, which is what regulates and helps with sleep and awake cycles. So we would not be able to fall asleep and stay asleep without the production of melatonin. So, and then there are a couple more structures at the base of the brain. And those are the thalamus, which is this area right here. We have the thalamus, which is responsible, it basically is a relay center. It channels signals that are sent from the cerebrum to the rest of the body. So that's what the thalamus does. And then the hypothalamus is right below it. So right here, and the hypothalamus is responsible for body temperature, hunger, and thirst, and other homeostatic processes. So that is a lot of the structures that are within the brain. And as we can see, a lot of the structures within the brain overlap and share a lot of the same functions and duties as other parts of the brain. And a lot of that is just simply involuntary actions that just allow us to be able to function as living beings, right? Because without the brain, we would be nothing. The brain is such a complex organism that God has gifted us to be able to live and function in our everyday lives. So I don't think I missed anything. So there you have it. That is my dissection of the brain. Thank you for watching.